What's up guys, Hownish here, and today we have some Destiny 2 stuff to talk about. I'm going to talk about more sandbox changes that we've learned about, some exotic Masterwork stuff, and some of the weapon buffs that we're going to be seeing in the future. On top of this, there is actually a cheese for the new Nightfall scoring that they put into place, which I'll talk about in a moment. I wanted to go over all of the perks for the March Iron Banner weapons, which actually look fairly decent, and a couple of other things, so let's get straight into it. So yesterday, Bungie confirmed some details about Iron Banner 6v6, which is coming in March, and they're basically changing it into a much more traditional Destiny 1 styled Iron Banner. On top of this, Rumble is returning with 8 players this time, which is going to be very interesting. Mayhem will be coming back, and they are working on a new doubles mode for PvP. And I'm going to refer to the roadmap just one more time, so if you're more of a PvE player, maybe you're wondering, what's going to be interesting for you. Of course, the weapon and ability sandbox changes are generally going to affect all of the game, which is good. There will also be the addition of heroic strike modifiers. On top of this, we've got Nightfall Strike unique rewards, and they have confirmed that these are going to be Nightfall specific weapons, which is pretty interesting. So while the March update does feel weighted towards PvP, there are definitely going to be a lot of positive PvE specific changes as well. On the subject of March 27th updates though, of course, a lot of stuff is going to change in the Crucible, and a lot of people have been asking about the time to kill. Of course, Bungie did outline a lot of movement changes in particular, and loosely referred to some weapon changes coming up in the March update, but a lot of players do talk about time to kill in Destiny 2. A lot of players want that reduced to, help increase the speed of the gameplay. And Cosmo did say on Reddit, I'm letting the sandbox team know everyone's feedback on lowering the time to kill. I know everyone is eager to hear what else is changing in the sandbox, and I'll see if they have anything else to share. And Cosmo did also confirm that this isn't news to the sandbox team. They have been very aware that players want time to kill changes generally in PvP. And of course, there is no confirmation just yet, but one thing worth noting is that they've given us essentially no specific weapon changes yet. We know a lot about the mobility stuff. They will be buffing particular weapon archetypes, so it is possible that we will see some kind of time to kill change. We're going to have to wait until they give us more details about the weapon specifics of the update. Further down the road though, there is some pretty interesting stuff coming in the form of exotic Masterworks, and this is when they'll also be reworking a lot of the exotics in the game. But John Wisniewski said the 6v6 PvP Rat King Masterwork happened today. So that's pretty interesting. They are, still working on this. And from the way he says 6v6 PvP Rat King Masterwork, it sounds like Crucible and Vanguard Masterwork perhaps is still going to be an option. I actually had a thought though on the subject of exotic Masterworks. A lot of people talk about, acquiring the exotics and them being powerful. They just don't quite have the chase that they had in D1. I'd actually really like to see Masterwork exotics be something that provides a level of progression. It doesn't necessarily have to be insane, but it'd be really cool if you could unlock the elements of the Masterwork, whatever they turn out to be, via gameplay and progression. Of course, in order to do that, you need the stuff that you get for it to be valuable, right? But moving on, John Wisniewski did say, the playtests are super fun right now. Tractor cannon was off the chain in the Nightfall today. That's pretty interesting. We got a PvE reference right there. That's one thing I've always sort of thought about the tractor cannon in PvE. I just want it to do more of its thing and boop stuff better. DMG did previously confirm as well that they are doing something pretty interesting with the tractor cannon that perhaps people aren't anticipating. Another important element is that we will be getting an infusion of new exotics at the time this update happens via the DLC. And I'm really hoping that, if we take a snapshot look at Destiny right now and then take another snapshot, at the end of May or in June once everything's come out, I really hope that we can see, a clear difference in some of the elements of the game right there. On to more recent updates though, of course, we now have strike scoring. Don't worry though, I'm not going to bang on about rewards or how to do this, that or the other. There's some very mixed opinions about the Nightfall scoring update. However, I wanted to point out that there is a bit of a fundamental flaw with Nightfall scoring. So there's been a couple of videos up about this. Esoteric actually posted one, but in this week's Nightfall, when you are scoring, you can actually use the Lost Sector on Mercury to farm points towards your Nightfall score. So what teams have essentially been doing is clearing, the staircase before the strike and everything like that, sending 2 players into the strike to continue through, and then having one go off to the left-hand side here on Mercury, head into the Lost Sector and continuously wipe all of the enemies and score a whole ton of points. It's not something I've actually tried. I literally just went to the Lost Sector to demonstrate where it is on the map, but Esoteric in particular, they managed to score 160 odd thousand points in one Nightfall clear by doing this. And of course, with this being a thing that you'll probably be able to do in any Nightfall, because most of them start out in an open world space where you can access nearby lost sectors. This is kind of a fundamental issue for Nightfall scoring, but at the same time, if you want to unlock that 60,000 bonus and get the aura and all of that stuff, it is going to be pretty useful for some folks, because you can run this on a relatively low modifier and farm a whole bunch of points in a lost sector to hit 60,000. So anyway, that is the new lost sector Nightfall scoring cheese thing, and it seems like it's going to be a problem in pretty much every strike. Next, I wanted to take a look at the Iron Banner weapons coming up in the Iron Banner at the beginning of March. So next week on the 6th, there will be the Iron Banner event. This one is going to be a 4v4 event because, of course, we don't get the changes until the 27th. But interestingly, there will be 2 Iron Banners inside of March, and I'd predict we're probably going to get a faction rally in the weeks in between. But for featured weapons coming up on the 6th, it's going to be relatively interesting. So we have the Orriman's Anvil. This is the auto rifle, a kinetic auto rifle. This one's actually in the 450 round per minute class, so it's precision frame, same as Uriel's Gift and Origin Story, all of those kind of things. It is one of the kind of militaristic model weapons, so it's got IS-2 Classic in the sights, Model 6 loop, and the Mark 15 lens. We have accurized rounds for increased range. We also have steady rounds for greatly increased stability and slightly decreased range, and we have under pressure, improved stability and accuracy as the magazine gets lower. So this one actually could be relatively decent. If you went with steady rounds to get very high stability paired with under pressure, it could be pretty good. You could also opt to give it quite a bit of range right there. It has a very, very good range stat to begin with. I mean, there are some pretty standout auto rifles in terms of range, but this one is right up there. But it could be a little bit of a laser beam with under pressure right there. But there is Joram's Claw as well, a pulse rifle, but this is an energy weapon. It's a 360 round per minute adaptive frame pulse rifle. Got SLO 10 post, SPO 26 front, and SRO 41 ocular scopes, a pendant magazine, which increases the mag size, or drop mag, which wastes ammunition but greatly increases reload, and it also has outlaws. So in terms of reloads, it's going to be very, very good. This kind of pulse rifle right now in PvP in particular isn't super popular, but they actually have a relatively decent time to kill. This thing also has pretty good stats in general, so while it might not be a super reliable weapon immediately, it's worth bearing in mind that within a couple of weeks of this weapon dropping, the pulse rifles are actually getting a generic buff in the game. So I can't promise that it's going to be fantastic, but it's probably one to keep your eye on, especially if you're a pulse rifle fan. And we have the Orwings Maul. This is the grenade launcher. I can feel the excitement dropping down as I speak, but it's a lightweight frame grenade launcher. We've got counter mass, quick launch, and confined launch ballistics. We've got concussion grenades, which emit a blast that staggers enemies. We've got blinding grenades, but that also decreases your blast radius, and it has auto-loading holster. I'm not personally a huge grenade launcher fan. I don't think this one does anything that any of the other legendary launchers can't do. But you have to let me know in the comment section. Either way, those are the 3 weapons for Iron Banner. I feel like the 2 primary slot weapons there have the potential to be pretty interesting. So I think people will be a little bit more interested in these personally. And of course, it's still season 2, so if you have ornaments you haven't finished unlocking, you can still do that inside of this Iron Banner coming up. Finally, I wanted to point out a couple of things very quickly. So there is a new emblem. More emblems! Everyone's hyped about emblems, so Bungie gives us more emblems, but there is a emblem that you can get for pre-ordering the exclusive Gold Osiris Funko Pop. This is due to release in late May of 2018, but I believe you can get the emblem right now, and it's, one of the codes for Bungie.net. On top of this, the other day I spoke about an emblem called Karhei, and it looked like it was linked potentially to the next expansion for Destiny 2. This is actually an emblem you get if you order the new Ghost Vinyl Generalist figure shell. I will leave a link to where you can actually order that. It's also due to ship in May when we're going to be getting the DLC. And so that makes sense as to why the Karhei emblem, is all kind of Warmind themed, because that's when we're getting the actual Warmind themed expansion by the looks of things. So that clarifies that. And if you're interested, like I said, the links will be in the description below. But there we go, guys. That is going to sum up the video. I hope you have found it interesting or useful. If you have, a like is very much appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on any of the upcoming sandbox stuff, the Crucible changes, the Iron Banner, and the weapons coming next week. If you enjoy my content, feel free to check out my Patreon page for some additional rewards. We also have our community Discord, so if you're interested in any of that stuff and becoming part of the community, you can check out the Patreon page. For now though, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Whatever you do, I hope you have an awesome day.